Welcome to the world of ancient Greek myths, where gods and heroes battle monsters to change the course of history. Today, we will delve into the story of Perseus, one of the greatest heroes of antiquity, who set out on a deadly mission to kill Medusa the Gorgon, a creature whose gaze could turn anyone to stone. This myth symbolizes the confrontation of courage and terror, where the hero must overcome not only external challenges, but also internal fears to fulfill his divine task. The story of Perseus shows that even in the darkest situations, one can find a glimmer of hope and victory. So, let's dive into this mythical world and discover how Perseus triumphed over the Gorgon. Perseus was the son of Zeus, the supreme god of Olympus, and a mortal woman named Danae. The story of Perseus began with a prophecy that led to his birth. Perseus, Danae's father, received a prophecy from an oracle that his grandson would one day kill him. Fearing this, he locked his daughter in a bronze tower to ensure she would never bear a child. However, Zeus, infatuated with Danae, entered the tower in the form of a golden shower, and as a result of this divine union, Perseus was born. When Perseus learned that his daughter had given birth to a son, he feared for his life. However, not wanting to kill his grandson directly, out of fear of the gods' punishment, he placed Danae and Perseus in a wooden chest and cast them into the sea, hoping they would perish. However, the waves carried them to the island of Seriphos, where they were taken in by a fisherman named Dictys, the brother of King Polydectes. Perseus grew up unaware of his noble lineage, but his heroic spirit and divine qualities gradually began to manifest. When he reached adulthood, the king of Seriphos, Polydectes, devised a plan to rid himself of the young hero. Polydectes had fallen in love with Perseus's mother, Danae, but he knew that Perseus would protect her from his advances. So the king decided to send Perseus on a deadly mission, one that he hoped the young man would be unable to accomplish. The king announced that he wished to marry Hippodamia and demanded that each of his subjects provide him with a horse for the wedding festivities. Unable to offer a horse, Perseus, in a fit of pride, declared that he could bring Polydectes, the head of Medusa the Gorgon. Polydectes immediately seized upon these words and commanded Perseus to fulfill his promise, knowing that the task was nearly impossible. Medusa was one of the three Gorgon sisters, daughters of the ancient sea gods Phorcys and Ceto. Unlike her immortal sisters Stheno and Euryale, Medusa was mortal. Once a beautiful woman, her fate changed after an encounter with the sea god Poseidon. According to the myth, Poseidon fell in love with Medusa and took her in Athena's temple. In her anger, Athena placed a curse on Medusa, transforming her into a monster with hair made of snakes and a gaze that could turn people to stone. Medusa and her sisters lived on a distant island, hidden from mortal eyes. Anyone who attempted to approach them faced a terrible death, turned to stone by a single glance from Medusa. Realizing that the task was nearly impossible, Perseus decided to seek help from the gods. He appealed to Athena and Hermes, who showed favor to the young hero. Athena provided Perseus with her shining shield so he could gaze at Medusa's reflection without turning to stone. Hermes, in turn, gifted him a sickle made of adamant, enabling him to behead the Gorgon. Additionally, Perseus received winged sandals, a bag to carry Medusa's head, a kibisis, and a helmet of invisibility that belonged to Hades, the god of the underworld. But before setting off to the island of the Gorgons, Perseus needed to learn their location. To do this, he approached the Graii, three old women who were sisters of the Gorgons and shared one eye and one tooth among them. Perseus cunningly seized their eye and refused to return it until they revealed the whereabouts of the Gorgon island. With no other choice, the Graii pointed Perseus in the right direction. With his victory over Medusa, Perseus was returning to Seriphos, carrying the Gorgon's head in the kibisis. Along the way, he accomplished several feats, including rescuing Andromeda from a sea monster. But that is another story. Upon returning to Seriphos, Perseus found that Polydectes was still tormenting his mother. He entered the palace where Polydectes and his entourage were gathered and showed them Medusa's head. Everyone who gazed upon it was instantly turned to stone, including the king himself. Afterward, Perseus handed over the rule of the island to Dictys, his adoptive father. After Medusa was cursed, she lived in fear and isolation. Her sisters, although her protectors, also feared her transformation and were compelled to hide from the world. Legends tell that many heroes and seekers of glory attempted to kill Medusa, but all ended tragically, turning to stone. This created an aura of fear around Medusa, and she became a symbol of danger and inevitable fate. When Perseus severed Medusa's head, two creatures emerged from her body: Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chryser, the giant. Pegasus became a symbol of inspiration and poetry, and his birth from Medusa's blood signified that even from fear and horrors, beauty and creativity can arise. Pegasus later became one of the main symbols of art and inspiration in Greek mythology. There is a version of the myth that suggests that even after her death, Medusa's head retained its power. Perseus used her head as a weapon to protect himself and strike down his enemies. Medusa's head was placed on Athena's shield, becoming a powerful amulet that turned foes to stone. This aspect of her myth underscores how, even in death, Medusa remained dangerous and influential. Each of these myths carries important lessons about human nature, struggle, love, and tragedy. They recount victories and defeats, illustrating how even the strongest heroes face trials that test their character and spirit. These stories continue to inspire and teach us today, remaining relevant throughout the ages.